everybody, welcome back to another video on GivReads. My name is Andrew Givler. I'm a YouTuber, author, and booktuber. Sometimes in that order, sometimes lately booktuber's been the last one. I'm sorry, I've been gone for a little while. In my defense, I've been busy with things you'll be excited about, and I will tell you all about them very soon. But today, to come back, I thought we'd just hit a banger. I want to give you guys my top 5 fantasy, sci-fi, whatever series is right now on my list of all-time greats. Now, this list changes all the time, right? You read something new, you change things, a new book comes out, whatever. But I figured there was a recent shift and I kind of wanted to talk about it. But before we break that down, as always, if you guys enjoy this type of content, you like this stuff, make sure to hit the subscribe button to help support the channel. Also hit the like button. That stuff really helps. All the books I reference will be linked in the description below. You can use my links to get it. Gives me a little kickback, helps me keep doing what I do. If you appreciate it, I appreciate it. That makes sense? So as I said, we're gonna go through my top 5 right now because there was a change. There's a series I really want to talk about. I need to do a whole series on, but I just haven't had time to do the breakdown to really dive into it. But also there's gonna be a slight cop-out because I'm actually having a really hard time choosing my number 5. My number 5 and my number 1 were the hardest for me. Everything in the middle, I knew exactly where everything went. Number 5, I sort of am fluctuating between a couple things. And I think that's because the books that are all there, the series are a little newer, as in like there aren't as many books out, and that's why they haven't quite solidified themselves yet. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm curious to see what you guys think. Now, there's not a hard and fast rule. I'm not like,
you have to have at least 5 books in the series before I'll put you on my top 5.
I think it's just that I really appreciate deep, longer stories, and until that a story hits that level, I'm not fully as invested. So for number 5, my current 2 that are hovering there is The Burning Book, which is the Rage of Dragons by Evan Winter, which has the first 2 books out, and they are incredible. They're really creative, really unique, but again, there's only 2, so I really want to see how it develops, goes further. I think it's only going to be 3, so it's almost done, I guess, technically, but still, I really want to see how it comes in for a landing. But at the setup that it's at right now, I'm fully in. I absolutely love it. I probably will reread the whole series. The Rage of Dragons follows a young warrior named Tao, who's sort of like a low caste member. He is small, scrawny, etc., right? He becomes a hero type thing. The thing that's really freaking cool about this is they have sort of a demon realm that exists in their world. And Tao figures out that he can travel to it and he can die there, but he doesn't die in real life. And so to become the greatest warrior, he starts sneaking into this realm at night and just fighting like the rabid demons that are everywhere, learning to become this like incredible swordsman, and he just is willing to die. So he suffers endlessly, but becomes incredibly powerful. Because, I mean, think about it. You fight no holds barred every day for years, you become deadly. Even if you die, you learn from that, right? Nobody else can like gain that sort of sense of knowledge and style, and it really helps him become this great warrior. And then there's like internal politics that are going on. There's the, you know, the oppressive ruling caste that's trying to control the lower caste, a whole bunch of other really cool political movements going on. But just the training style of how the hero becomes a warrior is so unique and creative and special and really fun to follow that it's one of the reasons it's really captivated me. I can't wait for the next one. Also, I should mention my criteria for how I choose things on top 5. Books that I would reread and that I will drop what I'm reading to read when the next one comes out are really like the 2 big things, right? If I have a big pile of like in my to be read, my TBR, and one of these series drops a book, it goes to the top. No questions asked. That puts it on the list. If when I've read the whole series or whenever, I will go and read it again because it like inspires me, motivates me, whatever, that puts it up there too. Those are the 2 major things that I really look for. A book can be great and I can only need to read it once, but for it to be in my top 5, those are the things I'm judging it on. So Rage of Dragons, I've actually read the first book at least twice, and I think I've only, because I reread it before the sequel came out because he's had a little bit of a gap, and I will probably reread at least book 2 before I read book 3 again because I really want to be in it. But like I said, it's a little bit more of a immature as in still growing story, so I'm waiting for that. The other book that I put in the same thing here is the Stormlight Archives, right? Obviously, Sanderson's crushing it with this. I think the reason that it's not completely solidified as number 5 is because I really liked the first few Stormlights. Rhythm of War was a little hard for me. Compared to the other ones, I didn't get into it as much. I struggled through it. It had a little bit of like the swampy middle going on, which all epic fantasies do, right? I'm gonna name some epic fantasies on the list that have the swampiest of middles. That's okay. That's not a sin. It just means that at the moment where it is right now, I'm waiting. I think the next book is probably going to like pull me in all the way. That'll also be, I believe, book 5, which will put it up at parity or whatever with the rest of the books on the list that have like at least 5 books, I think. Again, that's not one of my rules. It's just sort of how it's shaking out. Stormlight Archives, of course, great. It's Brandon Sanderson. It's like the penultimate major storyline of the Cosmere. I have nothing but good things to say about it. I suspect that it may eventually be solidified as number 5, although, again, the Burning Book really is giving it a run for its money because I love it too. Maybe something else will get bumped out. These decisions are hard. So now that my cop-out's out of the way, the rest of them, there's no more ties, okay, I promise. Number 4, speaking of swampy middles, is the Wheel of Time. I love the Wheel of Time. I can't go on and on about this enough. I know loving the Wheel of Time is not a particularly hot take in the fantasy sci-fi community, so I'm not going to defend this one. Yes, it has a swampy middle. Yes, it has a couple spots that are sticky, but if you make it all the way through, it's incredible. Obviously, Brandon Sanderson helped bring it in for a landing. I think that Brandon Sanderson did an excellent job bringing it in for a landing. Obviously, I'm saying obviously a lot. Robert Jordan was aware that he was terminally ill. He was able to sort of guide the process, put everything together. You know, as horrible as that situation was, they were able to make the most out of it, and I'm very grateful for it as somebody who grew up reading it and was very, very invested. I'm grateful that Robert dedicated his life to finishing it and that Brandon did such a good job with what he was sort of guided with. I think I've done a video before talking about how Brandon Sanderson has a really simple, effective style, which I think made him a great choice to fill this in. He handles epic fantasy very well. He doesn't have his own sort of like really aggressive tone that he uses. Like some of the other authors in here, like I think that some of these other authors, no matter what they write, I'd be like, yeah, that's so-and-so, right? Sanderson can kind of really blend in because he just is simple and straightforward and it works really well. So they did a great job. The story follows the three, well, more than three, but you know, the three Ta'veren, Rand, Mat, and Perrin, as well as Egwene and Nynaeve. My brain is falling out of my head. So if you're watching the show, you're in for a good time. I'm curious to see how season 2 of the adaptation goes. I have a lot of thoughts. We'll get to them someday. But Wheel of Time is solidly number 4. It's done. Incredible. What do you want from me? Number 3 is a little controversial for me. And honestly, okay, I think 3 and 4 switch depending on the day. So I lied, there's more cop-outs. But right now, again, these lists move. Number 3 is the Sun Eater series for me, which I've spoken about before by Christopher Rocchio. It's sci-fi. It is sort of like Name of the Wind meets space meets... I don't even know what else to tell you. Dune a little bit. It is sort of like a low-tech future where there's no AI, there's no computers, but there is technology. Human is transversing the stars, and it is the survival of man against aliens that have found us, and they are ravenous and they are terrible. And it is the memoirs of the guy who wins the war, but has to do terrible things in order to do it, and him explaining how he got there. And it's so well written. It's so freaking cool. Again, it's right there. The first 5 books are out. Book 6 is coming out early next year. I'm super excited about it. I think there's only going to be 7, if I understand correctly. And I love it. I've been recommending it to some of my big readers, friends, and they have been really getting into it. So I highly, highly recommend it. I can't wait to see where it goes. Right now, it's number 3 for me. Now, number 2 and number 1 can also switch places. This is really hard for me. Number 2 for me is probably... I'm making a game time decision. I'm changing the notes because literally they flip between these two. Right now, for me, number 2 is the Dresden Files. I love the Dresden Files. If you guys know anything about me, I talk about it a lot. It's one of the reasons I love urban fantasy. It's what got me into it. It makes me enjoy it. Dresden Files follows, of course, the story of Harry Dresden, who is a private eye who lives in Chicago, who is also a wizard, a real wizard, a White Council member of the Wizard, and he solves supernatural crimes. And as things go on, you learn the crimes begin to be a little more connected. There's more to the story, the huge world that unveils, and the struggles and the powers that be fighting against each other. Harry finds himself caught in the middle because of the cases he's taken and turns into something more. Again, I put my money where my mouth is. I have all of the Dresdens in hardback right behind me, right below the Wheel of Time, right above the Sun Eaters. Okay, it's incredible. If you love urban fantasy, you haven't read it, he's the father of modern urban fantasy in a lot of regards. He's the trendsetter. He is the guy. He is him. The first couple books were his first couple books, so I'll say they're rougher, right? But they get so much better. And I feel the same way about, like, Soul Fraud will hopefully be the worst book I ever wrote, right? Because it's the first one, and that's just how it is. So I would say, like, in terms of rereadability, right? I don't reread the first like 4, maybe 4, but I won't reread the first 3-ish books of Dresden probably much, especially not book 2, which he considers to be the worst one. And I think most people do, like, you can just literally skip it. But book 12 is probably in my top 5 favorite books ever written. Changes. Book 14 or 15? 14, I think. 15, got it right. Skin Game is also in my top 5. They are incredible, brilliant books. I've read both of them multiple times. Skin Game makes me cry, which a lot of books can't do. It's, yeah, okay. Go read them. And then last but not least, my current number 1 is Red Rising by Pierce Brown. There's a lot of sci-fi on this list. I love reading sci-fi though, so I'm a sucker. Red Rising is incredible. The original trilogy, I have them right there with the custom covers. Again, I'm serious. These are my top 5. I own I think all of these. Wow, that's kind of great. Well, actually, no. I need to get a set of my number 5. Red Rising is a modern dystopian futuristic sci-fi where humanity has sort of been genetically altered to be in different castes based on color. They have different levels of work, different physical attributes, different capabilities. And Red, the lowest rung on the ladder, finds that they've been duped. A young man named Darrow rises up to become a gold himself. They modify him, and he leads a rebellion from the inside to tear the whole system down. And it's a brilliant story. Pierce Brown is such a good writer that it makes me angry, okay? Because he writes in first person like me, but he writes so much better that I'm like, you make it look so easy. I know it's not easy, but you make it look so easy. He's so well read. His references are brilliant. Everything is incredible. I love it so much. And the first, so it's 2 sets. Basically, they're all part of the same thing, but the original trilogy was like, it could end here. And then the new set, which is now 3 books and will be 4, is like the aftermath of what happens. And the first trilogy is incredible. The first 2 books of the new trilogy, I was like, these are fine. You know, like I'm enjoying seeing the aftermath, but I don't love them. Like to me, it's the original tree. Lightbringer just came out, and Lightbringer might be the best book in the series. That's a hot take, but it's the best one of the new series for sure. The ramifications, the character development, the writing, it's all freaking phenomenal, man. It's so good. I'm gonna do a whole review about it, but I can't speak highly of it enough, which is why right now it is my number 1. So boom, that's it. That's my current top 5, guys. Let me know if you guys think I've left anything out. If you agree with my list, disagree, I want to know. If you haven't read any of them, again, they'll be linked in the description below. I have a bunch of really dope news coming for you guys about my books, so stay tuned. Make sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. I'll see you soon.